So first and foremost, I want to let you know that I have lost my voice. As you know, I normally don't sound like this, so I'm going to try to keep my voice to a minimum and as much talking as possible so we can get through today's session. And I have all the attendees that have attended all of my prior sessions, so I don't need to go through the intro. So what I'm going to do first is give you a live example of the application, and then I'm going to show you what we're going to be building today and how we built that application. Alright, so in today's session, as always, it's going to be the use case overview, architecture, table design, data pages, authentication, and eventually deployment. And let's go to our live example so you can see the application itself. And in today's training session, I decided to build a very popular fitness type application where trainers can register, log into their account, be able to manage their clients, and then me as a new client, I can go to the website and I can find a trainer that's closest to my area. So for example, if I click on find a trainer, I can search based on city, state, and zip. I can see the results. I also have integrated a Google map so you guys can see how you can plot data on the map, and I'm going to be showing you that as well. Down below I can see all the trainers. I can view on map, and I can also go to details to look at additional information about this specific trainer. I can also click on this link to contact the trainer, and I can send him a message. I can say, my name is Steve White. And once you click submit, that message is now sent, and now the trainer can log in to retrieve that message. Of course, he or she is going to be notified via email right away. And before I log into the account as the trainer, I want to show you that you can also register on the website. I didn't set up this page correctly, so let me go back to my home page and click on registration, and here's the registration form. So as a new trainer, if I wanted my information to be available publicly, I can sign up for an account, and then I can log into my account. And once logged in, the first thing you're going to be able to see is the My Clients list, so I can see all the clients that I'm managing. I can also go to the client summary, add new client, retrieve my messages, and go to my profile. Let me log out and make sure that I'm logged in as Ned, and let's log in as okay, so I have one client at the moment. If I wanted to add a new client, I can go to add new client, and I can fill out this form. If I go back to my clients, and let's say I had a session with Michelle today, she came in, we did a workout, I can click on add session, and I can fill out this form. Now I just chose some random fields. This is really not too specific to the workout session, but you can say we had our session today. Activities, we did some light jogging, it was 45 minutes, key improvements, focus area, squats, and we'll say current weight is at 110. And then once you click submit, and if you go back to your client summary here and you search for that one client that you currently have, you're going to be able to see all the prior sessions that you did with Michelle, total duration, and then you can see all the information and of course the current weight, where she is at the time, and what she's trying to accomplish. I can also go to messages, and there's that message that came in from Steve. And now I can contact Steve to let him know what my rate is, and then I can perhaps add him as a new client to my application. And then last but not least, we have the profile. And here as the trainer, I can change my information. I can update my bio, years of experience, and also the hourly rate. So it's a quick application that utilizes a lot of Caspio functionalities, from passing parameters to registration to Google Map integration, and also the ability for trainers to be able to log into their portal and manage their clients and their sessions. And of course, you can always monetize this if you wanted to charge the clients You can create an additional field for hourly rate, and then you can keep track of totals and how much that client is paying you at the moment. You can also charge a monthly fee to the trainers to use this portal and manage their clients. So it could be a low monthly fee, let's say $5 a month. And if you have enough trainers, the benefit or the incentive for them is to have their information be available publicly for other people to find them and utilize them as their trainer. Okay, so before I show you how this application was built, let me know if there are any questions right now. I'm going to go ahead and open up the line. Okay. So let's see if we can get through an hour session, because my voice is gone and I'm going to do my best. We are going to have this recorded as always and available on the internet towards the end of the day. So inside my account, here is my actual application that I just demoed. You can see that it has a total of 9 data pages. It's going to have 4 tables, 2 views, and 1 authentication. So let's click on New App, and let's call it Fitness. Okay, there's my application. I'm going to click on Open. And again, as always, what I tell all the attendees, you always want to start in the tables level. And I'm going to build my registration table first for all my trainers to be able to sign up for an account. So trainer ID, I'm going to make that unique. Now during my other training sessions, I have used auto number for the trainer ID. I'm going to show you a different way of setting up an ID through the data page wizard. So this time it's not going to be a sequential number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so on and so forth. It's going to be a randomly generated number, and it's going to be a lengthy number of a lot of characters and numbers. And I'm going to show you how to set that up in the data page wizard. So I also need the name of the trainer, their email, password, and of course I'm going to collect some additional information so other members can find the trainers and see their information. So hourly rate, their bio, which I'm going to make text 64,000, and I also want status. As the admin of the application, I want to be able to restrict who can log into the account, and that's going to be a checkbox. Now again, this application doesn't have multiple levels of users, so I don't need to set up another checkbox for additional levels. And I think those are all the fields that I want to have. Name, email. Those are all the fields that I want for now. If I forgot to add a field, I'll add it later. So let's go ahead and click on Save. And let's call this Trainer T for table. Are all the trainers. Okay, it's going to be a blank table, right? Because we don't have any registered members yet. So the next step is to create a view. I want to filter based on that status checkbox who can log in and who cannot log into the account. So let's go to the views. And we're going to call this active trainers based on the trainer table. And all I want is the filter based on the status checkbox. So if the status is checked, this trainer is going to be able to log into his or her account. And the last step is to create the authentication. Oops, it needs to be based on the active trainer's view. And I want email and password as my 2 credential fields. Click on create, and then we're going to call this trainer authentication. Okay, and as always, I always mention that this is a foundation. When you set up your user table, your view, and then your authentication, you're ready to start building your app. And the first thing I'm going to do is go to data pages and categorize my 2 folders where I'm going to be storing all of my data pages. So the first folder is going to be a public folder for all my public facing data pages, and the second folder is going to be for the trainer portal. And right away I know that I can build at least 2 data pages based on my trainer table. So the first thing I'm going to build is the registration form. Okay, so we're going to select submission form based on that table. Let's use this style here that I have, and we're going to call this trainer registration. We need all the fields. Actually, we don't need all the fields. We just need this one, everything other than the hourly rate and the bio, because these 2 fields, it's always best practice to keep the registration form to a minimum. That way you don't overwhelm the users that are signing up. You can enable these 2 fields in the update profile page, so when the trainer logs in, then they can complete their profile in their account settings. Okay, so the registration form is just going to have a few fields, so let's keep it to a minimum. So the trainer ID, remember I didn't make it an auto number in the table. I wanted to show you a different way of setting up the ID. And from the drop down here you can do auto value. And from the auto value you can do random unique ID, and you can set up the length of your ID here. You can see anywhere from 6 to 12 characters. If you do 12, you can set up both mixed characters and numbers, lowercase and uppercase, how that ID is going to look inside your table when they sign up. So usually this is done for additional security, because at times we're going to pass those IDs using the URL, and you don't want to pass them as 1, 2, 3. You want to pass them as a random number so nobody can crack that number. Okay, so let's leave it as 12, and the name I'm going to make required. Email, that's going to be required. Password, create password, required field. And then for gender, I'm just going to make a quick radio button. And for status, we're going to have this be a hidden field, and I want that to be checked. And the reason why is because in my application, I want the trainers to be able to log in right away to their account. So as soon as they register, I want them to log in. If I leave it unchecked, that means they're not going to be able to log in until I manually, as administrator, go into the table and check their account. And only then they're going to be able to log in, because remember, our view is filtering based on the status checkbox. So there's my status field, and I'm going to have that be by default checked. So why do I do this? Because let's say a trainer provides some bogus information on the registration form. I'll know right away in the email because I'll be notified, and then really quickly I can go to my table and uncheck it. I want them to have that experience right away. As soon as they sign up, I want them to log in and see the interface and what they can do inside their account. So let's keep it checked. Click next. And I'm just going to customize my message and say something like this. Okay, so I'm giving them a transition here to let them know that log into your account so you can complete your entire profile, that hourly rate and that bio field, so people will be able to find and see information about them. I'm not going to enable either one of these emails for now, but just know that you can do that. We're going to click finish now, and there's my registration form. Let's preview, and that's what it looks like. So right away I'm going to go ahead and deploy this to my web page. Click on deploy, and we're going to copy the code. And for this website I have a total of 9 web pages. Okay, so there's a lot of steps to this application, and don't be alarmed if your website has a lot of web pages. It's very common. Our Caspio corporate website has over 100 web pages for a lot of content. So I'm going to find my registration page. There it is. And in my placeholder, I'm just going to go ahead and paste my deploy code. And if I go to my page where I'm deploying things, if I go to registration now, you will see that registration form is now available. Let me make it live. Now let's take a look and see what happens. If you go to login, you'll see that none of the other data pages are set up yet. Okay, so we're going to go back to the home page, registration, And now let's sign up. So we'll sign up as Mike Moss, Mike et. And then we'll register. And then if you go to your table for all the trainers, you can see that randomly generated ID. It's always going to be unique, okay, but it's 12 characters in length, so it's not a sequential number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But now you can use this ID, pass it in the URL, and that's what we're going to be doing later on today. Okay, so I know I can build one more data page now. And what I want to build is an update page for the trainers to be able to log into their account and update their complete profile. So let's build a new data page. And we're going to go with the update based on the same table, same style. And I'm going to call this update profile. You make sure you have to restrict access based on the trainer authentication, because now they're logging into their account and they can only complete their profile upon logging in. Trainer ID to trainer ID, so these two have to be matching so they can see their own information. And let's see, what information would I like for them to be able to update? So let's have name, email, password, gender, hourly rate, bio, and the status. They don't need to worry about these two fields. So the name I'm going to keep, this is really up to you. You can either leave it as display only, or you can allow them to change their name if they log into their account, once they log into their account. So let's make it editable. In fact, let's make all the fields the same. Gender, we said that's going to be a radio button. Hourly rate, text field. And then bio, I'm going to make this text 64,000, which is going to be a text area. And then once you're done, click finish. And now let's deploy this data page to a page that I called it updateprofile.html. All right, so let me find that page, update profile, and we're going to remove the placeholder. Refresh, and there's the login screen. So now I can log in as Mike, and unless I used a different, let me just double check. No, that should be right. Status is checked. Trainer authentication. Let me make sure I put the right password here. Refresh one more time. Okay, so it's not letting me log in. I'm making a mistake somewhere. All right, so let's go back here. Let's double check our work, and let's see. So the status is checked. Let me take a look at the view. Trainers. Status. Okay. So if it's checked, they're going to be able to log in. Let me look at my authentication here. Ah, I see the mistake. So you can see that it's using the trainer ID instead of email. So I need to insert that email field and remove my trainer ID from the authentication screen. So let's add. And I'm just going to position the email on the top and rename my label to email. And now I'm going to click on save. Refresh. All right, let's try that one more time. Okay, so now I can log in and I can update my profile as Mike, who is the newest trainer that just signed up for the website. But you as the admin, let's say for example that Mike provided some information like random name and just a bogus email, for example. You will know right away via email that Mike gave you some random information that doesn't make any sense. So you can go to your table and you can uncheck the status checkbox, and Mike will no longer be able to log into his or her account. So let's go back here and say Mike Moss, and we'll just say, all right. So now I can say my hourly rate can be, I don't know, $50, and my bio can say gotta try to sell yourself as much as you can, right? So we're gonna click on update, and your data was updated successfully. And now that we have this information stored, we can start building our public-facing data page for users to be able to find trainers. And I already know that I forgot a few fields, which I forgot to add city, state, and zip into my trainer table. So let's go ahead and add those three fields really quickly. So let's go to our tables. You can see when you're building your application, you're always more than likely to forget at least one or two fields and make a quick mistake. But if you backtrack and just check your work, you're going to be able to see where you made a mistake. So let's go back to our design, and let's add those fields for city, state, and zip. And we're going to save. And really quickly, I'm just going to add a city of Santa Clara, California, and like this. And now that I have those those three fields added to my table, I can add them to my update profile page. So we can re-edit, and I can include those fields for the trainer to be able to update that information as well. And now we can just make those editable. Of course, the state field will probably be a drop down eventually, but for now I'm just going to make it a text field and click finish. And I just want to make sure that this is working. Let's go back to login, profile, and there are those three fields, and now the trainer can update their location as well. So now that we have all this information, we can go to the home page, and I can create the page to find a trainer near you, okay, because we have all that information that's needed. So what I'm going to do is go to my public folder and really quickly build a new data page. And this time we're going to build a report that allows the public to search the trainers. So we're going to go into tabular format based on the trainers table, same style, and let's have this say search trainers. You do not need to restrict access, but you are going to have to enable these two checkboxes because later on we're going to be passing the parameter or the ID to the submission form so public can contact the trainers. So we're going to enable both of these checkboxes. We're going to create the search form, and I want the public to be able to search based on these three fields so they can find a trainer nearest them. And to save on time, we're just going to make everything contains here for all the criteria and text fields. And then on the results page, I want to display the name of the trainer, not the email, because I want to have the submission form for public to be able to contact them so users can use the application, because if you expose the email address, then they can just email them directly without using the application. So think of it like Craigslist. The emails are not exposed. You use like a submission form to contact that seller. I want to display the gender, hourly rate if it's available. Actually, let's keep that on the details page. For now, I just want to have the city, state, and zip, and these fields. I'm not going to make any changes to the results page. I want to display 25 trainers. I'm going to enable my details page. And in the details page, we're going to show more info. So let's have the name, gender, rate, bio, and the location of the trainer. Click next. And then I know that later on I'm going to be passing the trainer ID to my submission form. So that way I can create a messages table and be able to, so the trainers can see all of their messages that pertain to their trainer ID. So I'm going to right now create that hyperlink at the top of my details page, and I'm going to call that Tref Contact Trainer. Okay, and then as always, we have to pass that parameter to the submission form. So I call this page, let me just double check to see what I called it. Let's see here. Contact trainer page is what I called it. Okay, so we're going to say contact trainer.html question mark, and I'm going to pass the trainer ID. So I'm just going to say TID equals, and we're going to insert trainer ID as a string. And you'll see how this comes together later on, because when I click on that link, I need to pass the trainer ID to the submission form, and then when I click submit, the trainer is going to log in and be able to see messages that pertain to his trainer ID. All right, so let's click finish here. And let's go ahead and deploy this to a page that I called find, which means find a trainer. And paste that code, and now on our example website, if I refresh, you can now see that if I go back to the home page where all the content is, and if I click on this find a trainer, you can search, you can see the results of all the trainers, and then I can go to details to see additional info about that trainer. And notice what happens in the bottom left hand corner of my screen when I roll over this hyperlink. We are now passing that trainer ID using the URL. So when I click on that, you can see in the URL that we passed it successfully, but now I have to build my submission form in order to stamp that ID in the submission form, and then when the trainer logs in, they're able to see the messages based on this trainer ID. Okay. All right, so now I need to build a new table because we've reached the limit as far as how many data pages we can build based on that one single trainer table. And I think what I want to do next is when the trainer logs in, I want to create a clients table so I can add clients to the database. Okay, so let's go to our account and create a new table. And we're going to create a clients table, so I want client ID. And this time I'm going to just use an auto number because I do not need to pass this really using the URL. It's not going to be exposed publicly like our trainer ID. So you can see now if I go to details, if I roll over, it's a complex ID. And because this is public facing and I'm passing it publicly, I don't want people to just see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because if I do that, then they can just manually change that number to, let's say, 2 or 3, and now they can ruin the application by submitting a form to somebody else instead of that specific trainer. Okay, so that's the reason why we sometimes use auto number and sometimes we use the auto value as the ID. Okay, so the client ID, name of the client, client's email, phone number, and then whatever information you want to store about your clients, you can store it here. Let's see, so client name, email, phone number. You're also going to need trainer ID here as well, and the trainer name, because when you add a client to your account, you need to stamp your ID and your name so the admin will know who that client belongs to. So you can manage just your own clients based on your own ID. Okay, and of course I want to leave this as text 255 because it's not going to be a number, because now our ID has a mix of characters and numbers. So it needs to be a text 255. And I think those are all the fields that I really need to have about my clients. Maybe some notes would be helpful, and we'll make that a text 64,000 field. I'm going to click on save, and let's call this table clients underscore table. And of course it's going to be a blank table because we haven't added any clients yet. So let's go to our data pages, and under my trainer folder we're going to build a new data page for the trainers to be able to add clients. So we're going to have submission form, clients table. I'm going to use the same style, and we're going to call this add new client. Make sure you restrict access based on the trainer authentication, because now this form is going to be password protected. And you're going to want all of your fields inside that submission form. Okay, so let's click next. So you want the name of the client. That could be a required field. You can add their email, phone number, trainer ID. So again, we have to stamp the trainer's ID here. So what we're going to do is make this field hidden, and we're going to use the trainer ID from our authentication table. Okay, same thing for trainer name. We're going to hide this field and use the trainer name. And then notes, why don't we make that a text area so the trainer can add some notes about their client. Click finish. Now let's go ahead and deploy this data page. And I think I called this page add new client. Let me find it. There it is. So login. So now we have the ability to add a new client, and we also have the ability to update our profile as that trainer. So let's add a new client to the table. So let's say our client's name is Kim Smith. Her email is that. Phone number. Okay. That way we have some notes about our newest client. And the way that our newest client, if you will know about us is by searching for our information, and then she can send me a message, and we're going to set that up in a little bit. So let's say Kim called Mike and she said, hey Mike, I heard about you from Google and I wanted to work with you. And Mike says, okay, sounds good. Let me add you to my list of clients. So you log into your account, you add her as a client, and your submission was successful. Okay, so if you go to your table now for clients, you'll be able to see the information, but you can also see that this client belongs to this trainer ID, and it also belongs to Mike Moss, who's the trainer, who's the owner of this client, if you will. Okay, so the next step, now that we can add clients, we should also be able to manage our clients. So we're going to create that data page next. So let's build a new data page. And this is going to be based on a tabular report. So the clients table, same style, and let's call this manage clients. Also needs to be password protected, and you also need to enable both of these checkboxes, because what we're going to be adding to this is the ability to add a session for each one of our clients. So if Kim came in for a session, I can log some notes as far as what she did for that specific session. So make sure you enable these two checkboxes. You click next. And I don't need to search my clients. I'm just going to filter them. And I need to see just my own clients. So make sure that these two are matching, because I want to see just the clients that pertain to my trainer ID. I don't want to see other trainers' clients. Okay, so I'm not going to filter. And on the results page, I'm going to display the name of the client, their email, their phone number, and maybe some notes. And here it's important, if you look at my live example, you can see that I added a link called add session. So we're going to have a sessions table as well. But I'm going to get to that. I'm just going to create my hyperlink, and you can see that I'm passing two parameters. I'm passing the client ID, and I'm passing the client's name using that URL. So let's go and set that up inside our results page now. We're going to insert an HTML block. I'll just add it maybe right over here, and I'll call this ahref equals add session. And I think I called that page, let me just double check. New session.html, this is what I called it. So let's say new session.html question mark, and then I'm going to pass the client ID for CID equals client ID as a string, and I also want to pass the client's name, and you'll see why later on. So we're going to do an ampersand, and I'm just going to do n for name equals name of the client, and I'm going to go ahead and now click on next. Let's show 25 clients on our results page. Let's also have the ability to delete clients, because as a trainer, let's say if I'm not working with this client anymore, I'd like to be able to delete their record. Let's enable the details page. And in the details page, we can just show additional info about that client. In fact, we can probably show client ID, name, email, phone number, and we do not need to show our own information here, so we're just going to display the notes. And we don't really need the client ID either, so let's just have this information here. And in the details view, I should be able to edit my client's information as that trainer. So let's make some changes here. All right, finish. And now let's go ahead and deploy this data page to manage clients. And I call that page My Clients. Okay, so let's check it out. So let's go to My Clients, and now you can see Kim belongs to my client list. I can see the notes for what she needs to get done, and there's that link for add session. And if you look in the bottom left hand corner of my screen, you can see CID1, which is client ID 1, and I'm also passing the name Kim Smith to my next page. Okay, and then I can go to details and I can edit this client's information in the details view. So really cool thing that we're going to do next is to create a sessions table where we can store and record all of these sessions for our clients. So let's go to our data pages. Let's go to our tables and let's build a new table. We're going to call this sessions. And what do I want inside this table? Well, what you need here is that client ID, because you want to be able to relate those sessions to your client. So we're going to say client ID, and that needs to be a number because now that auto number is going to be stored here. I also want, besides the client ID, I also want to have, let's see, date of session, so session date, which means when this client is coming in for the training session. Then I also want some information about what we did, so activities, I'll make that a text 64,000 field. Duration of the session, that can be a number. Focus area, what we need to focus on for maybe the next session, and maybe some key improvements. And we can make that text 64,000 field. Let me see if I need anything else here. I don't think I need anything else, just a client ID, session date, because that's all the information I'm really interested to know about the specific client and what they did in the training session. So let's go and click on save now, and let's call it sessions T for table. Okay, cool. So now we have the sessions table. So now I need to do is connect my application. So when I click on this, I want to build a submission form so I can add a session for that client. So let's go to data pages. We need to go to this folder. Let's click on new data page. I need a submission form, and that needs to be based on the sessions table because that submission form is going to be storing that session information. So let's call this now new session form. Make sure you enable these two checkboxes because now we need to receive the client ID parameter, and you need to restrict access based on the trainer authentication. Alright, so here we have the client ID. I need all of my fields to the right. And the client ID, if you look at our live example, we're passing the client ID. So that means I need to receive the client ID in the submission form now. So that's why I have the client ID in the sessions table. So what I'm going to do is go to the advanced tab, say receive parameter externally, and we called it CID. And you may be wondering, so how come you're passing the name to the submission form as well? Well, there's a reason behind that as well. You'll see that I'm going to add an HTML block. Actually, let's add a header and footer. And inside a header, if you look at my live example, add a session, you can see the setting at the top, add workout info for Michelle Rodriguez. I'm just going to copy this, and inside my header, it'll be above my form. I'm going to paste that, but I'm going to say, this is how we manually pass a parameter in the header or HTML block inside a data page. Remember, from our results page, you can see the little n for Kim Smith. So we're passing that parameter n, and I'm going to be receiving that parameter in my submission form, and this is the syntax that you need to receive the parameter. Okay, so let's set everything else up. Client ID, I'm receiving that client ID from the results page. I'm going to hide this field. And then we have the session date, activities. We can make that a text area, duration, focus area, and key improvements. When you're done, click on finish. And now let's deploy our submission form to a page that we called new session. Alright, so let's deploy it here, save it, and hopefully everything works correctly. Let me refresh, and when I add a session, there we go, add workout info for Kim Smith. So this is why I'm passing that parameter. See, I'm passing her name using the URL. I'm receiving it here in the data page. I'm also passing the ID, client ID, but I made it hidden on the submission form. Okay, so now the session date, let's say it's today, activities, duration, let's say 50 minutes, focus area, cardio, key improvements, seems to have more stamina. Alright, so once I click submit, this information is now recorded in the sessions table. So if I go to my table now of all the sessions, you will see that information, and I can see the client's ID because I passed it using the URL. But even now, this is not very helpful for me, because how do I know as a trainer who is this client? All I see in this table is the client ID, but I do see all the information of what she did in the session. So now what I'm going to do, which is pretty cool, we're going to create a view to combine this table of sessions with our clients table, because I see the client ID 1 here. If I go back to my other table of clients, there's that client ID 1. So somehow I want to show this information, and I want to show the information from the other table based on this unique ID that joins them together. So that's why we use the view, and we're going to build a new view, and we're going to call this view clients and sessions view. And the two tables that I want to join together are the clients table and the sessions table. Okay, so we click next. And now we need to link them together. So to do that, we're going to see all the available fields from the clients table, all the available fields from the sessions table, and I want to link them using the client ID. So client ID from the clients table and client ID from the sessions table. We click on this plus icon, and that creates an inner join. So now on the next screen, you can see all the fields are going to be available in the view from those two tables because we're combining them together. Finish. And if everything goes well, we should only be able to see one record inside our view. And there it is. You can see the Kim's information, and I can see the session information as well of what you did on that session. So now that I have that view, I'd like to be able to build a client summary that shows me what each client is doing in their training sessions. So let's go back to data pages. And inside this folder, we're going to build a new data page. Let's go with the report, tabular format. And I want the same style. And now we're going to select the view, not a table, because table only shows me limited info. I want to view because now I see all the info from both of these tables. And let's call this view client sessions report. Make sure you restrict access based on trainer authentication. You don't need to enable these two checkboxes because you're not going to be passing any parameters here. And now let's have a search form to be able to search our clients. Oh, make sure you restrict access record level security so you only see the information that pertains to your trainer ID. Where's my trainer ID? Oh, trainer ID right there. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're looking at information that just pertains to your ID. You don't want to see the sessions of other trainers' clients. Okay, so this is very important here. Make sure I set it up correctly. Okay, good. Trainer ID to trainer ID. So I want to search just right now. I want to search based on the client name. You can include other fields if you'd like. I'm going to create my search form. I'm going to change the label to just name. Remember, I mentioned this in the past. If you combine tables together into a view, it carries the labels from both tables, so you just have to manually make a few modifications here. We're going to use the contains criteria. And now on the results page, I want to show the client's name. And underneath the client's name, I want to show all the session information so I can see what that client is doing. So I want to see the session date and all of this information as well. And just so you know what we're doing with this, if you look at my live example under client summary, I'm searching based on the client's name, and I'm going to be able to group all the sessions based on the client's name. So, and that's done on the next screen. So you can see client's name. I'm going to enable grouping, and then I'm going to have all the information available. And here you also have to change the labels because the view carries all the labels, activities, duration, focus area, and key improvements. Alright, so let's click next now. And let's show 25 records per page. And let's for now disable the details page. We don't need it. So let's click finish. And let's embed this data page to my clients or manage clients web page. So client summary. And now you can add clients, you can manage clients, and add a session, and you can now go to client summary, find that client, and be able to pull up the history of what you've done with that specific client. Now please don't pay any attention to the aesthetics. This is really just for the workflow to make sure that you can build this type of application, but later on, once the application is built, I always suggest that you work on your aesthetics after the functionality is there. Okay? Alright, so now we're missing one more piece, which is the ability to retrieve messages, and I want to be able to see the messages that I'm getting when people find my information from the home page or from the website. So if I go to details, I can contact this trainer. And remember, we had set up this HTML block and we're passing the trainer ID using the URL. So now I need to build a new table for messages where all the messages are going to be stored, and I need trainer ID, which is going to be received using the URL, and I want name of the person that's contacting me, their email, phone number, and the message itself, and maybe date sent. Alright, so that's really all I need inside this table here. We're going to click on save, and let's call this messages table. And we're almost done. So there's my messages table. Now I need to go to data pages, and under the public folder, if you look at my live example, find a trainer, details, and if you contact trainer, you'll see that the submission form is public facing. It's not password protected, but I'm passing the trainer ID. Now my trainer ID is a lot longer than what I used in our application because I used a different auto value that's more of a 128-bit ID. For our example, I used 12 characters, which cuts it off somewhere here. Okay, so under the public folder, we're going to build that data page now, that submission form. So select submission form, and that needs to be based on the messages table. And we'll call this new message form. Same style, and I need to receive the parameter. So let's move all the fields to the right. And now the trainer ID, you're receiving it, so you go to the advanced tab, receive parameter externally, and we called it TID. I'm going to make this hidden. And then you can just make all these other fields required if you'd like. The date sent, we can make this a timestamp. The user doesn't need to see that, or the person that's contacting the trainer. And then the message field, we can make this a text area. Click finish. And now let's embed our submission form to our website. And we call that page contacttrainer.html. There it is. Okay, let's test it out. Let's go to find a trainer. Contact trainer. There's my, oh, I have to refresh. So there's my submission form. Let me go one more time from the beginning. Find a trainer. Details and contact trainer. Okay, so now I can submit this form. I can say, and you can see how the trainer ID is being passed, and that trainer ID is being received in the submission form as well. I just made it hidden. So we'll say Bob Jones Okay, so click submit. Okay, so remember, I'm not showing you in this application, but right away, as soon as this message is sent, me as the trainer, I will receive an email automatically to let me know that I have a new message inside my account. So then what I can do is I can go to login, go to my messages, and be able to retrieve that message. Let's set up that data page now. So let's go to data pages. Under the trainer portal, we're going to build that messages data page, and I'm going to use my tabular report. And that needs to be based on a messages table. And let's say view messages, view my messages. Let's see, we do not need to set up any advanced options and passing parameters. I do need to restrict based on trainer authentication because I'm logging in. And now let's go ahead and have a filtering and also have it restricted based on my trainer ID. So I'm only seeing messages based on my trainer ID that was passed using the URL. So let me go back here. Hopefully this is making sense. If you find a trainer, go to details, contact trainer. I'm filtering and I'm limiting to only this ID. This is why we enable record level security, so that it only shows me information that pertains to my trainer ID that was passed using the URL. Okay, we're not going to filter based on anything, and I just want to go to the results page and see my messages. So let's have the name of the person that's contacting me, their email, their phone number, their message, and date sent. Not going to make any changes to this. Let's click on next. And I do want to sort based on the date sent field. I want to see the latest message first. Okay, so Z to A, we can sort that. I can also delete my messages if I no longer have a use for it, so I can clean up my inbox. And then here we can, let's just disable the details page because we're showing everything in the results page already. And finish. And we're going to deploy this to our messages page. Messages, and there we go. Save. Find a trainer. Let's test it out from the beginning here. So let's make sure that it works. Find a trainer. And let's say I'm interested in Mike Moss. I like his bio. I like his hourly rate. I'm going to contact this trainer and say, my name is Jesse Pinkman. Email is jesse@test.com. Phone number. Submit, and then I can go ahead and log in. And now when I go to messages, let me refresh. Now I'm able to see all the messages that I'm getting from people who are interested in working with me directly. Okay, and let's say that I met with Jesse. I think we have we can meet up next week. I'm going to go ahead and add him as a new client. Fill out his information, Jesse, email, phone number, notes, what he wants to work on. Then I'll be able to see Jesse's information here. And when Jesse comes in for a workout, I can add a session on what we did that day. And then on the client summary, I will be able to pull up Jesse's information of what we did in the past. Okay? And then here, last but not least, you can update your profile. Now, I know some of you may have to go. It's 11 o'clock. We started the training session a little bit later, but if you want to stick around, it's going to take another 5 or 10 minutes for me to show you how you can embed this Google map to your application as well, so you can pinpoint locations of each one of your of all the trainers publicly. Okay, so that's going to take another 5 or 10 minutes. So let's go ahead and do that next. To integrate a Google Map inside Caspio application, it's also a standard feature. So what I'm going to do is go to our knowledge base, howto.caspio.com. Oh, okay. And I'm going to search for map mashup. So you click on the first link, instructions. And there's another link here that you can click on, which is called this one, lib.caspio.com. You click on that, and then you log in with your Caspio credentials. Same way you log into your Caspio account, you use the same account ID and password. And this is going to take you to the wizard to set up your map. It's really just 2 or 3 steps here to set up this map. So let's go through it. I want my map to be a height of 400 pixels, and 800 is fine. I want the home position to be California, because as you can see, my trainers, that's my niche at the moment. You can also make it USA, have it automatically go directly to that location where you want. I want the results page default zoom level of my map to be a state level. So it's going to view the whole entire state of California because that's my home position. The details page is going to zoom into the city. Then you have some flexibility here to make a few more things like show traffic layer that Google provides so you can see where the traffic locations are. I'm just going to leave this unchecked, but you can play around with this, all these other options to see what they do. This is where you're going to select your data page from your account. You're going to be able to see all the available data pages from your account. And when I'm applying my map, I'm actually applying my map to this data page here. So if you go back to the home page, find a trainer, this is where I want my map to be. So I need to find my data page inside my account, and we call that search trainers. Okay, because that's where the map is going to be. So then I need to find that data page called search trainers inside my fitness app. Hopefully I'm logged inside the right account here. Search trainers, there it is. Okay. So we're going to select that, and we're going to go ahead and click on finish now. Okay. Actually, let's click on add before I click on finish. So let's click add. And now you need to select what fields. If you have longitude and latitude fields or coordinates inside your table, you can use that to geocode and find the pinpoints. But I don't have those 2 fields inside my account. So we're going to use these 3 fields, the state, city, and bio, to locate our trainers. And because these are the 3 fields that I have inside my table. Just to refresh, if you go to the trainers table, this is why I'm seeing those 3 fields in the wizard, because I have those 3 location fields right over here. Here I can select what pinpoint color I want. Let's go with blue. You can also customize your own pinpoint if you create an image yourself. I want to show the map on the details page. I want to hide the map from the search form, which means that I don't want the map to show up on the search form. I only want the map to show up on the results page and the details page. And that's it. So that's how you set up the map. I'm just going to go ahead and make sure, double check my work here. Everything looks good. Let's click finish now. And then once you click finish, Caspio is going to give you this code. And if you follow these instructions, this literally takes a minute to set up. And let me show you how. So we're going to copy this giant code. And the instructions tell me to paste this code above my data page. Okay, so if you go to that find.html page where you deploy that search trainers data page, all you're going to do is paste that code above your data page like this. Okay, so just paste that script above that find data page. I'm going to go ahead and save. There are a few other things to do here. I need to paste this code inside my search form. So if I go to data pages, and I know I call it search trainers, I'm going to edit. So inside the search form, we're going to insert a header and footer, and inside the header, I'm going to paste that code. And this script here means it's going to hide the map from the search form. That's what the first script does. Okay. The second script, you're going to use to display the map on the results page. So let's click next. And when you get to the results page, you're going to insert a header. Actually, you're going to insert an HTML block. You're going to move it all the way down. And then you're going to paste that code for the results page. And last but not least, we have the details page. So again, I've done this a few times. That's why I know where to paste it. But if you read the instructions, you're going to be able to do this yourself in just a couple of minutes. And in the details page, we're going to insert an HTML block again. We're going to move it all the way down. And we're going to paste that code inside this HTML block. Click Finish. And we're almost done. One more step left. So now that everything is configured with the map, I need to position the map where I need to position it. So if you look at the example now, what's going to happen is if I go to the home page, find a trainer, the map is hidden. There's no map here. But if I click search, you see the map is showing up above my web page. The pinpoints are there. I just need to change the location. I need to place that map above my results page. So if you go back to your map mashup instructions where you clicked on that link in the beginning, if you scroll down, you're going to be able to find this div, which is ID map. So wherever you paste that div or this code, that's where that map is going to show up on your website. Okay, so I know that in my example, I want that map to show up directly above my data page. So in between that huge script and your Caspio data page, this is where I want the map to show up. I'm going to save. And now when we go back to our example, find the trainer, you can now see that the map is going to show up directly above my data page. The script is not going to be affected for the map. Okay, now I need to change my position. You can see that there's that pin. I only have one trainer. And if I view on map, it's going to show you the information. You can customize to what you show inside the bubble. So you have that flexibility. And in the details view, you can see how it zooms in on the city level. And it shows you where that trainer is located. Obviously, I don't have the full address because I don't think any trainer will provide their actual address where they live. So we limit based on city, state, and zip. At least the people know the general location of where that trainer is located inside that city. I think that will conclude today's session. We ran over a little bit by about 6 minutes because we started the training session a bit later. So hopefully, this was beneficial and useful. We're going to have another pretty cool application next Friday. I'm going to open up the line for some questions now to see if anybody has any. For those of you who joined us a little bit later, this video is going to be available towards the end of the day. We're going to publish this to our YouTube site and also our knowledge base. So you're going to be able to watch this video again at your own pace. Let me know if there are any questions now. I'm sorry about my voice. It's a little groggy, and I appreciate you guys staying around. There's a question. So the question is, does the map count against your monthly data transfer? No, it does not. It does not count against your monthly data transfer. Great question. Because this is Google provided, so it does not count against the data transfer. This is just rendering it from Google. If you decide to leave, thank you so much for joining today's session. Again, I appreciate you coming in. I wanted to give you an application that you can, in a way, make it your own. You can monetize it if you wanted to offer a service. But if you think about it, this workflow can be applied for many different industries, not just the fitness club. This can be applied for real estate. For example, if you wanted real estate agencies to register, let's go back to the home page and say I want the real estate agency to register. They create an account. Once that real estate owner logs in, they can add agents to their account, and now the agents, they can manage agents. Agents can manage their own real estate. You can make the real estate available publicly. So if you wanted others to be able to find that real estate, the price, description, how many bedrooms, you say find a home, you search, You see the list of all that real estate, where that real estate is located, which is also a good way to use the map. And then I can go to details for that home, and I can contact the agent that's selling that real estate. And now the agent will be able to log in and find out who is interested in that home to buy. But you can offer this as a service, and you can monetize it by charging the real estate companies a monthly fee to let them know, hey, if you want to use our portal and our application, it's going to cost you this much per month. So again, plenty of ideas if you're an entrepreneur, and if you want to build your own next big thing, if you will, where you can, do something on the side and make some money. That's a good way to use Caspio as well. So this application can be transformed into many different industries. Is this available as a template? Yes, it will be available as a template, Steve. I'm going to go ahead and send you all the files. I actually have the entire application built. And here's my fitness application. This one is a little bit cleaner, actually, the one that I built yesterday. So I'll go ahead and export this later, the entire application, and if anybody else is interested, let me know. I will email you all the files to the app.